Welcome to Come and See, your podcast for finding truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. With host and founder Richard Case and co-host and retreat leader Kathy Ricconi. Join us every weekday at this time to discuss news, spend time in the Word, and receive answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. And now your host, Richard Case.
Well, good morning, Kathy. Here we are, Tuesday. In January. We've been working on our series on overcoming fear, worry, and anxiety, and it's always been an interesting one as we've talked about, beginning to possess the promised land. How's your family doing? How's Anna handling? I know she's had COVID. How's she handling it?
Actually, I was just downstairs talking to her a little bit ago and said she's starting to feel better today, so that's nice. She's still got a low-grade fever, still got a sore throat, but she said she's seeing the turner, the corner turn there. This has been a couple days going for her now, so yep. She's feeling better, and so hopefully our house is getting clear here soon, and we can get back to having a little more fun. Yeah, although I will say we have been binge watching The Voice together.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's fun for Anna and I when she's home from school. We'll get a little bit of that time in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's so contagious, and it's kind of minor, so it's not having the as serious of consequences. I mean, it is impacting the healthcare system because people are trying to get tested to verify they have it, and then if they can get any medicine for it, which generally, by the way, because of sore throat, the medicine usually is steroids, and so that tends to clear it up. Sorry. Get a drink here. So it tends to clear it up faster with steroid to overcome it, and then of course it's just getting rest. But people aren't having the severity of it.
Right.
But the interesting thing will be with it, if it literally being so contagious and it's really sweeping the country and sweeping the world. Interesting enough, is there going to be? Because remember, when you get a virus like this, your own immune system creates antibodies,
right?
And it kills it, as well as then they stay in your system, so it prevents it from getting it again.
Right.
So it's called herd immunity. Is this, interesting enough, going to be the solution to where it's going to wind up dying down?
I think everybody's wondering that.
And again, remember, every year in the fall and early winter is the flu season, which is coronavirus. So it's not that I don't think it's going to go away per se, and I think part of it is they've redefined it a little bit and made it. Typically, coronavirus is, well, you got the flu and you're going to get sick and you got to stay home and it's highly contagious, but everybody gets it and you kind of move on from it. They define COVID, with you got to wear a mask and you don't want anybody to get it. Interesting enough, it's actually, in a sense, it's beneficial to get it. Because you get immunity, and
except for those immunocompromised and with
where you have what they say secondary or third or tertiary issues with lungs or heart and that kind of stuff, and again, people that get the flu, there's a lot of people that around the world that do die every year, not from the flu but from complications. But it'll be interesting to see if this rampant sweeping the country and everybody gets it and then they get over it, do we then see a dramatic drop off?
Yeah, which they're actually, I mean, a lot of news sources are saying that's what we're going to see. That's the speculation and the hope, I believe. And we're seeing the narrative change from pandemic to endemic, and what would it look like to shift society into that.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds,
Yep.
and how it's embraced or not embraced.
Yes. So we'll continue to watch that, and we know that just life in general, because we live in a wicked world that's kill, steal, and destroy, and entropy, and things fall apart, and things don't work. Opposition. We live with self-centered people. So life throws at us what I call curveballs. That I thought this was going to work this way, but now it's different, or this obstacle came up, or this adversity came up that I wasn't really expecting, and now I got a problem.
Right.
And God said, "Yeah, I know. Life is in essence full of problems, and I don't." God says, "I don't purify that to the level where I just get rid of all the problems, because you live in a wicked world. Remember, we gave authority to Satan. He gave it to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve gave it to Satan, and Satan it says in 1 John that he still has control of the world. Now we know that God's sovereignty is greater than that, because his kingdom is greater. That's why we've talked about, well, we got to live in his kingdom. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. That your kingdom is superior. You can overcome these. You can resolve these, because you just speak about it, and you can make things happen. Command resolution, and I can guide you into resolution as he so directs, because he cares about us. And that's what love is all about. Is I'm not just, God says, I'm not just out there, the creator, and letting you live with the issues and good luck. Rather, it's, I care about you. I can resolve your personal issues. Yes, I'm creator. Yes, I'm sovereign. Yes, I'm omniscient. I'm omnipotent. But I care about you personally. And I gave myself for you first to have the relationship. And now I'm asking you to walk with me and let me guide you into this resolution. And it's very, very unique. It's very, very precise. It's very, very personal. Right. It's not, well, I hope you take care of this, but maybe not. It's, hey, I got a problem. And God says, okay, let me help you, resolve that. And let me give you insight. Like in our family, like for example, we've had COVID. Our son right now, Peter, he's got COVID. And
he's back down in Dallas now, right?
He's back down in Dallas, and
okay.
And again, the aspect of, okay, this happened. What we don't do is say, well, we wish it wouldn't have happened, and how come? It's okay now that it happened.
What do you have to say,
Father? What do you have to say about this? And I'm going to bring about healing, and here's what I want him to do, and rest up, and he had to go to the doctor, and he got the steroids, and he's on the recovery right now. But it's Father, what do you have to say about that? And then he has to possess it by believing and walking with God and following what God has to say, including you can't do the kind of he works for Lockheed, so you can't do all that detailed work every day. You're going to have to rest.
Right. Which is a hard call for somebody with his personality,
right.
too, right?
It's very hard, So, but that's my step of obedience, and I'll recover you, and you guys pray about this, and you cover it with prayer. So it's always, and I try to phrase it in a real simple way. Now that this happened, our question is, well, now what? And it's not a matter of, I wish it wouldn't have happened, and how come you let it happen, and you shouldn't have let this happen, and I'm mad that this happened. God says, well, now that this happened, why don't you ask me to resolve it? And it's a whole different viewpoint. See, it's a whole different way of living. And that way, in a sense, my fear and anxiety and worry should be what I call short-lived. Yeah, we have it. I mean, that's natural reaction. Oh man, this isn't good.
Right.
When I got COVID and had sore throat, I can tell you my attitude was, this ain't good. This doesn't feel good. It's man, hey, and I'm not going to be able to do some of the things that I planned to do this week.
Right.
And I wish I could. But my attitude was, I'm not happy about this, and I have a little bit of fear, a little bit of how bad is this going to get? But God's reminded me, well, wait a minute. Now that this happened, are you going to come and ask me?
Right.
And trust me and have fear of me and walk with me and possess what I have to say? Oh, yeah, that's right. So, hey, Linda, let's you and I pray about this. God, what do you have to say about this? It won't be that bad. You'll have a little sore throat. It'll hurt. But rest up. Don't get back too fast. It's not going to be severe. I'm going to cure you, and you'll have immunity. And actually look at this, it's a good thing, not a bad thing. Oh, okay.
Right.
All right. Well, let's walk that way. And so the week that I had planned didn't turn out the way that I planned.
Right. Yeah, we delayed our taping for
That's
sure.
It. Yeah. Like, no, I can't do that tomorrow. But later on, if I feel better, we can. And so, okay, let's adjust. And to me, God says the adventure of life is to see what I'm about ready to do next. Given that this is beyond you, you can't control this, you can't run this. Yeah, It's going to be, your week's going to be different. Yeah, you were supposed to tape, but no, we're not doing that. I want you to rest today. Okay. And he guides us and leads us into, well, this ought to be interesting to see, what he does next.
Right.
And it's a whole different perspective, which means that again, my fear, my worry, my anxiety is short-lived. It's not that I shouldn't have it. It's like, well, given that I have it, I know what to do with it.
Right. And that happens in the in-between, what I call surrender intervals. I think in between surrender intervals is where we see fear, anxiety, and worry surface. But then once we surrender it to him and come back, what do you have to say? That's when we see it dissipate and him instruct, and we can step into his instruction and his promises.
Right. That's right. And then we start practicing it because we do get to see things resolved.
Right.
So that Linda and I are right now, we've got our new list of what we call unresolved issues. And we're praying, like, for example, our grandson Joshua, he got accepted at Baylor, waiting to hear on A&M. What's next? Hey, Father, what do you got to say about that? He doesn't need to fret. He just needs to wait and listen and process until you guide him into the truth of that. So we're gonna lift that up in prayer and look and believe that and process with him. What do you have to say about that? We've got some business issues that we're processing of. In our company, we're doing acquisitions, and so we do a series of acquisitions, and then we got to integrate them. And so we're developing a whole process of how do we manage that, because we've experienced delays, we've experienced situations where things weren't done correctly or rightly. And as we're learning that, okay, Father, what would you have us do? And he said, okay, let me help you process this in a sequence that you then can start managing better. So we are, and we're defining that. Once we define it, now we'll start putting the individual companies into those processes and know, okay, where are we? And we got an issue here that we got to address. And again, as Father, would you give us resolution to this specific thing that we're dealing with this company? And it's not about, and as we saw last time, it's not like the land that he said you've been used to, where you could just took care of it. And by the way, it didn't work out well. Let me take care of it, and you come to me. And we do that even in our business stuff. Is okay, we got this issue. What do you got to say? How do we resolve this? What is it that you have to offer us and give us wisdom and insight? And we're going to ask, seek, and knock, and listen, watch, wait, and let him do it. And we instead of going to fear and anxiety, we're going to, well, this ought to be interesting to see how you resolve it. So it's fun. Hopefully everyone's catching this of how beautiful it is. And again, if you have questions you'd like to send in about your particular one, you can put it on YouTube, or you can send it at questions@afjministry.com, questions@afjministry.com, and tell us that, well, I got a particular thing I need some help on, and we'll be happy to help you do that. So
absolutely,
we do want to offer that to you. Okay, well, let's continue. We're in this discussion of possession of the promised land, and last time we were in Deuteronomy 11, 8-15, that talked about let God provide you with His best. I'm going to make all things work together for good. He adds another statement to this in Deuteronomy 11. Go ahead, in Deuteronomy 11, 22-25.
All right, hang on just a second. It looks like my what I have printed up is printed incorrectly.
Okay.
So let me just fix that for you.
All right, Deuteronomy 11, 22-25.
All right, it says, there it comes. For if you will be careful to do all this commandment that I command you to do, loving the Lord your God, walking in all his ways, and holding fast to him, then the Lord will drive out all these nations before you, and you will dispossess nations greater and mightier than you. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads shall be yours. Your territory shall be from the wilderness to the Lebanon, and from the river Euphrates, to the western sea. No one shall be able to stand against you. The Lord your God will lay the fear of you and the dread of you on all the land that you shall tread, as he promised you.
Yep. So he makes this beautiful statement that, when I'm resolving things, he's implying that, he said, the opposition is mightier and stronger, and they're against you. And when he makes that statement, what is he implying about our power to resolve this?
On our own, we cannot.
Yeah, we cannot.
In the natural, they've got us beat.
Yeah. So that again, and he would be discussing typical warfare here. Mm-hmm. That a nation mightier and stronger, in a way, it's just they've got way, way, way bigger resources than you. And again, the way they would typically line up the battle would be, you bring your army, I'll bring my army, we'll line up, and whoever's mightier and stronger is going to prevail.
Right.
And God says, I know that yours isn't mightier and stronger. So you in the natural are not able to overcome, what the principalities and powers can throw at you, using particularly self-centered people, using people that have power, using situations that you can't overcome yourself.
Right.
He said, I understand that. He said, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to overcome them. And this is really beautiful. Why can he overcome them?
Because he is all powerful.
Yeah.
He is perfectly capable with the spoken word of doing any of it.
Yeah. And so he says, I'm way, 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 way more powerful than them. And the way that I characterize it, and we look at this in Colossians chapter 2, is that he's disarmed principalities and powers and triumphed over them. And the word disarm there is I've made so that their weaponry doesn't have any power against my weaponry, God speaking. So what I say is that, we have opposition in the natural that is stronger than us. Which is, by the way, why we tend to go to worry, fear, and anxiety, is because I can't figure this out. I can't overcome this. This is too heavy for us. We can't figure this solution by ourselves. And God said, well, my power is greater. And the way I characterize it is it's like a BB gun to a nuclear weapon. Is God says, that's the difference in my power, that they have nothing and I've got it all. And it's super, super powerful because I created the world. I did it by speaking it, and my power is coming from my commanding and speaking. And so he says, I'm going to have you dispossess opposition that's greater than you. I understand it, but I'm going to exercise my supernatural work to resolve this problem that you can't do on your own.
Right.
And it's a beautiful statement, and you will move them out of the way, and you possess this solution that I'm going to have, which is going to be shalom, covenant, blessing. I'm going to make this work, and you'll see me develop the answer to this, and then you'll rejoice because you get to see the answer and see how beautiful this is.
I love even the imagery that they have in this one. It says, walking in all his ways and holding fast, do what I command you to do, loving the Lord your God, walking in all his ways and holding fast to him. And you've given that example of holding fast as like a toddler holding onto his dad's legs and just walking. But I think it's so cool then as you go into verse 24, every place on which the sole of your foot treads shall be yours. And so tying that to the image of holding fast that you have given us, that when we are holding fast to him, every place we step is with him. Therefore, it comes with the fullness of his authority and power of what he has promised and what he's speaking and what he's doing.
Right.
And so he lays that out in such a picture perfect way in that passage too, to show us the power and authority that we walk in when we are with him in his kingdom.
Yep. And we have an example. We have a leader, John and Michelle. They're over in Italy. John is an Italian heritage, so he has been led. He and Michelle are led there to set up actually a base for Living Waters International. He's going to he has consulting work that he does, so he can do that remotely, and she can too. And he's trying to get his citizenship, which is available to him because of his heritage. And if he gets citizenship, then he can live there permanently, if he so desires, actually own property there and operate from there. Otherwise, you can only be there like 3 months at a time, so that you don't have the ability to be there long term. You can be there short term, but not long term. So he's been working on citizenship. He got an opportunity to go to this town, Lucca, and he was going to, and it was told to him that it takes 3 months, and you need to be in that city for 3 months, and you work with the local authorities to get your citizenship. And all the paperwork's been, filed and done, and he's ready to go. So he was saying, okay, hallelujah, we're looks like we're going to do it. We're just going to go over there and rent this place in Lucca and finish it out for 3 months and get it done. So he gets there and goes down to the authorities. And two things. Lucca happened to be a place where there's heavy experience of this recent COVID situation. So Lucca basically shut everything down.
Oh, wow.
And said, we're not going to function at all with this administrative process right now. We just want everybody to stay at home and get through this.
Right, as Italy was so hard hit. Yeah.
Italy's hard hit, so we're going to shut that down. So they've kind of shut down Luca, so he can't function. And then two is, they said, hey, by the way, the rules have changed, which, by the way, they change them all the time. So,
right.
And they don't necessarily let you know, and that you're going to have to be here 6 months to process it, not 3 months. But in a sense, you can't stay more than 3 months. So it's kind of an impossible scenario. Is that, well, you can only stay 3 months at a time, but you got to stay here 6 months to get it, but you can't stay here 6 months. Well, that's a sticky wicket.
Right. Absolutely.
And they were letting us know, hey, man, we got an enemy that is stronger than us, and we can't seem to get anywhere because we don't have the power to overcome it. Okay. Well, let's pray. Let's go to God. You guys go to God and see what God would have to say. And so they have this other property in a different city that they're talking about and looking at. And the owner of that property says, well, I know the mayor of our town, and let's go talk to him and see what he would say about how we could do this, make this work, not in Lucca, but make it work here. So they go talk to him, and the guy says, yeah, sure, I'll help you. I'll have to give you a special permission to stay here for the 6 months, maybe even a year, while we get your citizenship, and I'll facilitate it to be able to allow you to do it. You just got to get over here next. So what they're thinking is, by the way, they're enjoying just being in Lucca, and so they just said, okay, God, we're just going to enjoy this. They have their kids over there with their grandkids with them, by the way, and then we'll come back. So we'll go home, then we'll come back, and we'll set up shop in this other town, and work with the mayor to get the citizenship process done, which he said he would do special things to make it all work. And they recognized that it was God's supernatural activity to connect them, to give favor.
Absolutely.
Let me guide you, let me resolve it. And instead of them going to fear, worry, and anxiety, it was, well, we got a problem. We know what you've already said. You're going to give us citizenship in order to have this ministry operate here. So we know that. But we got a city here, like Jericho. There's an enemy there, and they're way bigger than us. What do we do about that?
Right.
And God says, well, let me give you this step to fulfill it, because I'm way more superior than them. I can do that. See, I can overcome that. I can provide the answer. And so you let me guide you, let me speak to you, let me show you how I'm going to dispossess the stronger one than you, because they're not stronger than me. And that's what God is trying to show us all the time is, do you understand? I keep thinking of Jesus at the woman at the well. And
do you know who you're talking to?
Do you know who you're talking to? No. Well, if you did, if you understood who you were talking to, now I ask you for water, but if you understood who you're talking to, you'd ask me for water. You'd be asking me to give you water. You'll never be thirsty again.
Right.
And she says, give me that. Well, I want that. And so then he says, let me explain to you ultimately who I am, and what I can do. If you knew who you're talking to, you would see things differently. You would understand things differently. And so that's what God keeps telling us is, do you know who I am?
Right.
Do you know that I'm superior?
Sometimes we need to step back, I think, or at least I find myself needing to step back and do an exercise to remember that. I think of Psalms 103 and how it says, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits.
Yeah.
And so I will periodically, if I'm finding myself spiraling in something or questioning, go back and remind myself who God is and what all He has done. And just in that reminder of who He is and taking some time to journal that out, it so quickly squares me again with the goodness of God and the power of God and who He is that I have the privilege of calling Father, and
Yeah.
who's out there on my behalf. But I think sometimes we need to go back and recall those things just to be able to stand strong and remember them.
Yeah, and to be thankful. And I think this is where,
Yes.
as we learn this, see, God says, I want you to give it away and assist others, so that what's reinforced for Linda and I, and we do the same thing. We go back and say, well, let's rejoice, let's remember, let's be thankful, but we get the evidence of it,
Yes.
not just with us, but because we're involved with other people, that God says, well, why don't you help them understand that I'm going to resolve their problem? And you stand there and you make the statement, and and what I make is, I guarantee you that God will resolve this. Now remember, I don't know how, and I'm not saying in the way that you necessarily want to,
Right.
but you'll get to restoration and resolution if you have a heart to go. Don't fret, don't worry about it. So that there's a couple that I've been dealing with, young couple. They had some relationship issues. They were serious, and then they broke up, and they were unsure about what that meant, and they kept getting bothered by, I'm not sure we're supposed to have broken up, but we did, and they were in deep consternation, upset, worried, fearful. Did we make a mistake? What about, how's this going to work? What about my parent? All this stuff. Well, I get connected with them, and I just say, well, God will resolve it. Do you have a heart to go? Do you have a heart to see what God would say? Including, again, I said resolution is, He's going to let you know, yes, you're supposed to get back together, or no, you're not supposed to get together, but you'll know it, and
Right.
you'll get it off your table. Okay.
Mhm.
So worked with them individually, because they were hesitant. Well, what does that mean, and how does that work? And all I did was say, just write down what you think, feel, and believe. Where are you?
Right.
What's the issue? What do you see here? And let's find out what's really going on. And they did. I said, okay, I'm going to get you into the Word, see what God would have to say about this, and let me help you understand some truth, and then God will start speaking to you, and you can trust it. Okay, and they had a heart to go. Well, they went, and this is, see, what's so cool, and this is what you're saying, is that Linda and I are rejoicing because we get to see it.
Yes. Yes.
And so that you take these two young kids that are in deep fear, worry, and anxiety, and just for them to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to see a new way. I'm willing to try a new way. They try a new way. God resolves it. He shows them both, yes, you're supposed to be together, and now let me walk with you together to learn how to do that together. And they went from deep angst to freedom
Right.
and joy.
And that not only built their faith, but built your faith.
Yeah.
And then everyone who the story is shared with as well.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing.
Including their parents that were part of the process. So that as you say, keep remembering, well, wait a second, I've experienced this.
Yes.
And what that does is that encourages us. So Linda and I get excited about, hey, did we see? Look at that. It's true. Look
Yeah,
at what God can do. Look at what God can overcome. It's absolutely true. And let's keep remembering that and rehearsing that and praising God for that. That's why, by the way, in your body, or you're in a circle with you as your spouse, or you and your friends, it's sharing, well, what cool thing is God up to resolve our issues? And the
Right.
more that you share that, the more reinforcing it becomes to me that, wow, look how cool that is.
Right.
It really
And look
happened.
what he does. Look what he does.
It really happened in a real situation because God
Mm-hmm.
says, that's my heart. So one thing to keep remembering, nothing is too difficult for God. He says, I can dispossess things way, way, way greater than you. Don't limit me. Don't think I can't do it. I'll do it. I'll show you the way. Let me resolve it because I can. And he does.
Right.
Let's go to Deuteronomy 30. It talks about a beautiful process of this. Deuteronomy 30, 1 to 10.
Sure. And when all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, and you call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, and return to the Lord your God, you and your children, and obey his voice in all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your soul, then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and have mercy on you. He will gather you again from all the peoples where the Lord your God has scattered you. If your outcasts are in the uttermost parts of heaven, from there the Lord your God will gather you, and from there he will take you. And the Lord your God will bring you into the land that your fathers possessed, that you may possess it. And he will make you more prosperous and numerous than your fathers. And the Lord your God will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your offspring, so that you will love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live. And the Lord your God will put all these curses on your foes and enemies who persecuted you. And you shall again obey the voice of the Lord and keep all his commandments that I command you today. The Lord your God will make you abundantly prosperous in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your womb, in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground. For the Lord will again take delight in prospering you, as he took delight in your fathers, when you obey the voice of the Lord your God to keep his commandments and his statutes that are written in his book of the law, when you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
Yeah. Whoa, that's a lot of powerful stuff. And he says,
Right.
he says, and in this case, I've set before you life or death, blessing or cursing. If you follow me, you're going to be blessed. Yeah, if you chose not to follow me, you're going to experience the troubles of life, and it's going to come against you. He says, so even in this scenario, he's implying here that when you've caused the problem, okay, now think about the reason. Why have we caused the problem?
Because we've gone off on our own.
Because either, again, through ignorance, haven't even understood that this is possible, that he can resolve it. And I've always tried to do it on my own. Isn't it up to me anyway? Or
Right. Or willful disobedience.
or
sometimes.
willful, just, I don't care, and I'm mad, and I'm upset, and how come? And I blame God for not giving me the victory and the solution, and I prayed, nothing happened, and so I'm mad, and I'm going to keep doing it myself. Well, it got worse. And he said, well, now that you understand that it got worse, even when you caused it. Now, remember, a lot of times, because remember, we're in a world, he said, in the world you're going to have what?
Have trouble.
Trouble,
Yeah.
just per se. So, you didn't cause this. It's just part of the world.
Sometimes it's just part of the fallen world.
It's
right.
just part of a fallen world, or things that have happened, or the enemy coming against you. But he said a lot of times, actually, you've contributed to not having resolution. Matter of fact, you've made it worse.
Right.
So you've dug yourself a hole. We had a retreat where we had a leader, actually, of a small group of a big church, and in our retreats we talk about this, that God will bring resolution. God can bring understanding and clarity and victory. And we say it's the gospel. How about now? That, it doesn't even matter if you've caused the problem, but God can resolve it. And he said he will. So this person called me up after the retreat on Monday. We do retreats Friday to Sunday. And he got great encouragement. But he called me up and he said, you said yesterday that the gospel is how about now? Is that true? So you're telling me that God can solve any issue that we got? Yeah. Uh, okay, I'd like to meet with you because I got a problem. Okay. So we talk, and he says, I'm in a pickle, and there's certain things that happened that I did that now are having serious consequences, and I've been trying to fix it, but I don't know what to do with it. And I said, well, God can fix that. He said, well, that's not everything. Based upon that, then I did this, and it got worse. That's okay. God can fix that. Well, yeah, but that's not everything. Then I did this, and it got worse. That's okay, God. God can resolve that. Well, yeah, but that's not everything. And then he said, I did this, and I'm in real serious trouble with things that I wasn't truthful about, things that I covered up, and I've got myself. I'm in a real mess. And I said, yeah, that's it. God can't solve that one. No, God can resolve that. Nothing's too difficult for God. I said, I understand you have, in essence, contributed to your own problem.
Right.
And you didn't seek God anywhere along that path, and you just tried to figure it out. And what you did, and this is what happens to us, is you kept digging a deeper hole. Thinking that if I can resolve this, I'll get out of it. Interesting enough, you're just actually making it worse and deeper and deeper and deeper to where I can't even see the top of the hole. I said, but God has a heart to resolve it. He will resolve it. How about now? I said, now, and it says so right in this verse here. In order to be restored, what does he say you have to do? You got to walk with me.
Him.
Yeah, you got to walk with me. You've got to let me guide you into the restoration process. And not only am I going to restore it, but he says, I'm going to prosper you. I'm going to have your problems not only not go away, but I'm going to give you blessing on top of it because of my sovereignty. And you have to, again, fear me, walk with me, cling to me, follow me, and be obedient to the instruction that I have. And so the two things are you willing to hear what I have to say? Mm-hmm. And then two, once I say it, are you going to be obedient to it?
Right. And those steps are not always easy ones to take. Sometimes there's some hard instruction, and there is some consequence and discipline involved in things that we have done. Yet, knowing his character and knowing that he is leading it, we know as we step into that, the other side of it is restoration and promise.
Yeah. So actually, I read him these verses in Deuteronomy 30, and I said, are you willing to hear what he has to say? And then are you going to be obedient to it? And he said, would you help me? He said, because I'm not used to that. I don't even know, what do you mean, what does he have to say? How help me with that. Okay, so I will. Let's get in the Word together, and then let's go take these issues that you got and see what God would say about it. And then I'll confirm it with you, and I'll walk with you into it. Okay, so he does. He gets in the Word, and he starts to hear, this is what I'm going to do. And by the way, this is what I need you to do. And there became this moment as he's moving down the path where God says, you have to go and make a complete confession of everything you've done, which is potentially, his reaction was, well, if I do that, they could come after me because of what I did.
A very intimidating instruction for him.
No, well, God says you're going to have to come clean and go ahead and be willing in your mind to take the consequences, knowing that it's going to lead you to resolution.
Right.
That's the trust piece of it. Do you understand that? That it's not you saying, yeah, but if I do that, it seems to me it's going to make it worse, so I don't think I want to do that. And God says, well, that's my instruction. And I'm telling you to do that, take that step. Well, again, the clinging to him and the walking with him is, that's a struggle for me. I'm having a hard time receiving that, but I'm willing to cling to you. I'm willing to stay with you. Could you please reinforce your truth about that? Yes. So God did, and he struggled through it to a point where he was at the point where either you're going to be obedient or not. Now, having had the consequences already of this severe stuff happening, it was like, my encouragement to him is, why don't you just try it with God?
Right.
I mean, it hasn't worked out so far for you.
What do you have to lose at this point? How's that going for you?
Why don't you just follow God? And I'm telling you, I'm confirming that God's going to restore this and he's going to fix it.
Right.
Okay. So he does, and he makes a complete confession, lays everything out, the company he's with and the business situation he's with. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Let's resolve it together. And God comes up with this great resolution, so that, and this is like 4 or 5 months later, and I'm just walking with him into the following part. He calls me up and says, everything is completely restored. All of my problems have been restored. God is blessing me again. I'm free. I don't have any worry, fear, and anxiety anymore because I'm not heavy-hearted. I saw him do this. It's miraculous. Hallelujah. You said it. How about now? And God could do it, and nothing's too difficult for him. And he says, I caused this. I know I caused this. And God said, well, does it matter? How about if you let me resolve it?
Beautiful, right?
And let yourself off the hook. And so it's a beautiful thing. So it's how God works, is that I'm going to restore you even when you've caused the problem.
Right.
That's the beautiful thing about God's nature, is how about now? And that's why you and I can walk with people and say, yeah, I know. I know you contributed to this. Yeah, I know you made a mistake. Yeah, I know that you dug yourself a hole. How about if God let God resolve it, right, and let me show you the truth of that? How about now? The gospel is, right, how about now?
And that requires that repentance and humility to just turn back, right, and allow God to be God.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah. So we'll pick this up a little bit further as we go. Remember, this is Deuteronomy 30, so he's been getting everybody ready, and now we're going to move into Joshua, where he said, "Let's go, let's go, act on what I promised that I'm going to do," and we'll get into that next time. So we'll pick it up again tomorrow.
Great discussion. Thanks again, Rich, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. I hope you found today encouraging and that you are finding strength and trust in who God is.
Yes, amen. And we'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Come and See, your podcast for truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. Send us your questions and comments, and tune in tomorrow for more answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. Remember, God's will is best and none better. His truth brings peace in this world of chaos.